Now we have a 2-year-old girl and we have a 3.5, my son's 3.5 now. And I am constantly thinking about how, like screwed up my kids are going to be when they get older because I've kind of come to the conclusion, Nicole, that no matter how hard I try, there's I don't have any control over something that they're going to experience because of me, that's they're going to be talking to their therapist about when they're 28, 33, or whatever years old, trying to work through something because their dad messed them up with something. And I am curious from your perspective, how to kind of walk that line as a parent, because I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about this. I think it was on Joe Rogan or something, but he was talking about how he's walking through Central Park in New York, and he saw a mom and her son walking next to each other, and he saw a puddle in front of them, and his mind immediately went to like, oh, this little boy is going to see that puddle, he's going to want to jump in it, it's going to splash, it's going to be awesome. And he sees this playing out in front of him in real time, and he sees a look in the mom's eye where she saw the puddle as well, and then his immediate thought was like, no, 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 please don't keep him from doing that. And then she immediately, of course, like moved him away, don't jump in the puddle, and wouldn't let him jump in the puddle. And he was like, he was basically saying from the extent that, like, if you start squelching your children's curiosity, then that will prevent them from finding out that version of themselves, or that will prevent them from being playful and experiencing what life has to offer. And so I've always been conscious of that with my kids. It's like I want them to engage in curiosity, and I want them to, like, even if it's more of a mess for me sometimes, like I want them to, put their hand in their food, or like feel things, like experience things. And but also, I don't want them to grow up being a brat that can do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it without any discipline or structure, because that's not a good situation either. How can I as a parent, how can we as parents, kind of practically work through that yin and yang?
Yeah, I want to first, offer all of the respect and compassion in the world for the tall order that is parenting. To have to, right, consistently and endlessly be available to another human outside of yourself is no easy feat. And I say that again with all of the compassion and all of the respect to parents in the world. And to speak to your point about kind of teaching children, allowing them to live, the natural, this is the language I would use, the natural consequences of their actions, right? To jump in a puddle and see if they like being wet, being muddy, being dirty. They may not, and allow them to then navigate the choices that they're making within safe parameters. And that's really the job, quote unquote, of a parent, is to put in the safety in place to make sure that that child can continue to sustain life in a safe manner, though to allow them those moments of maybe doing something that you wouldn't do or you would advise against within reason, and allowing them to determine, right, if those outcomes, are aligned for them. Because this is something we have to remember when we're raising other humans. Even if they look like us, even if they are seemingly, similar to us in a lot of ways, they are still different. So maintaining that curiosity. There's another huge gift in being able to admit the imperfections of us as a human and us as a parenting human. And what I mean when I say that is, I think a lot of us have this idea, and I know myself, not even being a parent, I have this kind of drive to perfection. Again, originating from my own childhood, originating from how I got validation in my childhood, originating from the overwhelming stress in my family's life, with this idea that if I'm perfect, right, I won't add to the already debilitating, stressful feelings in my home. I've learned, however, that perfection is not only impossible, it over time prevents and has prevented me from pushing myself through challenging situations, from doing new things, from taking chances that might resonate with me out of fear of not being perfect in doing it. And what is the most valuable skill that you can teach a child is how to be imperfect, how to come back and say, you know what? I parented you one way for this amount of time, and now I have some new information, and I'm not perfect, and we might not know exactly what's going to happen now moving forward, but we're going to try something new. Right? When we teach that version of repair, even maybe an apology, hey, I used to do things this one way, and I'm now understanding that that might be painful to you, child, right? I'm sorry for the impact of these actions, and now I can change. That is such a gift, in my opinion, to give our children. So throwing out the idea of being a perfect parent, understanding compassionately, again, that as any of us being human, we're impacted by the skills and tools and environment we grew up in. So we only know what we know. And as we expand our awareness, as we listen to conversations like this and gather some new tools, it is not shameful to begin to change and model that change, and maybe model that responsibility, going back to that topic, model apologies, model doing something new and different. It's not going to debilitate our children. It's actually, in my opinion, going to create resilience and give them the opportunity to continue to modify themselves as they grow and age and gain information that we don't even have access to yet, that we don't even know what's coming.